much for joining me today. My name is Rose and welcome to my channel. Today's video is a project pan update on one of my most favorite project pans that I have been doing for quite a while. It's an eyeshadow project pan and it's a great way to cycle through your entire eyeshadow palette collection if you have large numbers in eyeshadow palettes like myself. This is Throwing Shade Round 12, Update 11. I think we're better off. Me, myself, and I, at least. I've definitely grown quite accustomed to this project. I did pretty good on the last month's palettes. So if you want to see how well I did and what 3 new palettes will be picked for this project, then just make sure to keep on watching. But before we get into the video, make sure you guys subscribe. I put out content weekly, so you don't want to miss out on all the fun. Also, make sure to check the down bar for all my other links to all my other social media platforms. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop on into the video. Following this project for a while, you'll know that a few months back I decided to go ahead and start incorporating a project that I created over on Instagram called No Pan Left Behind in conjunction with my Throwing Shade project. It is where I am trying to use every single eyeshadow pan in every palette that is chosen for this project, and it's just been a lot of fun and really trying to reach those goals and make a point to try to use every pan in every palette. There are going to be some months where I'm not able to use every single pan in each palette, but I've done rather well for the first couple of rounds on this project. We are now officially on round 7 for No Pan Left Behind. This past month's 3 palettes was the first round that I was not able to fully use every pan in each palette that was chosen. And again, that's okay. I'm going to definitely have some months where I'm not able to use every pan. It's all in good fun and to really kind of help me to get as much use out of my eyeshadow palettes as I possibly can. For round 6 on No Pan Left Behind, the 3 palettes that were chosen gave me a total of 49 pans to use, and I was only able to use 28 out of the 49 pans on this past update, which again, that's okay. It was basically half of the pans I used, which I'm still happy with that progress. And my total eyeshadow palette count is currently at 171 eyeshadow palettes. I am planning on doing a pretty massive declutter coming very soon. You definitely want to stick around and don't want to miss out on those. But in the meantime, we are at 171 eyeshadow palettes, giving me a pan count at a total of 2,522 pans of eyeshadow. And so far in total for No Pan Left Behind, I have used 215 pans of eyeshadow, leaving me 2,307 pans of eyeshadow left to go, which again, even after the declutter, I will re-go in and recalculate how many pans I have in total in my collection once decluttering these palettes, so it will bring that number down significantly because I am planning on getting rid of quite a few eyeshadow palettes that I just don't use and have expired and they just don't inspire me anymore. So 28 out of the 49 pans is half, which is not too bad. With my new job and my new schedule for my job, it has definitely taken a lot of time away from my content and being able to produce content and be as active on my social medias as I once used to, but I try my best, and really at the end of the day, that's all we can really do. I appreciate your guys' patience and waiting for uploads and sticking around. Let's just go ahead and I will go over the progress of last month's 3 palettes, and of course if I have any looks that I have done, I will insert them on the screen for you guys to see. So for week 1, I was randomly chosen the Take Me to Ibiza palette, which actually I did really well on using almost all of the pans in here. I used 26 out of the 35 pans in here, so that's definitely the most progress that I was able to make. And this is the biggest palette that was chosen with, again, 35 pans in here. And it is a really gorgeous, colorful palette. And as you can see from some of the looks that I managed to create, I think I did a really good job at creating some really pretty looks and just getting some use out of this again, which I'm glad it was chosen because prior to the project, I hadn't really used this too many times, maybe a couple of times. And it is a really gorgeous color story and just a gorgeous palette in general. And I think when I get to my declutter, I will be keeping this palette because it is just really, really pretty. The shades in here are gorgeous. The formula is really nice. I didn't have any difficulties with blending or patchiness or anything like that. And again, I really enjoyed the looks that I created with this. I definitely want to keep this around. This is one of the last palettes that I ended up purchasing before my no buy had started last year. Yeah, I just want to continue to use this and reach for this for sure to create some more looks, definitely. I do say if you are interested in BH Cosmetics formula and are interested in this palette, to definitely pick it up. I do think it is available. And of course, I will have anything that I mentioned palette-wise and product-wise in this video is always linked in the description box for you guys if you ever want to go check out any of the palettes and products that I talk about. And I think this would make a great addition to anybody's collection. I definitely feel it adds value to my collection, and I will definitely be holding on to this. For week 2, it randomly chose my Pat McGrath Platinum Bronze palette, which is a really pretty color story. It's just a more bronzier tone palette. It has 6 pans in here. I only managed to use 2 out of the 6 pans in here, which is really surprising to me because there is only 6 shades in here. I used the shades Deep Velvet and Ritualistic were the only 2 I was able to reach for and use out of this palette, which again, it's a shame because it was only 6 pans, but it was just difficult for me as the month went on further on to sit down and take time to use all the pans for No Pan Left Behind. And it is a really pretty palette. There's only the one matte shade in here. The rest are all shimmers. And I'm actually considering decluttering this when I do my declutter, just because I was gifted this through my husband, but I don't really use it that much. And if I have to force myself to use any types of palettes or products moving forward, I'm just going to get rid of them. I don't want to have to force myself to use anything. I want to always have it be an enjoyable experience and things that I want to reach for and want to use instead of having to force myself. This is definitely one that I had to force myself to kind of use, and the fact that I wasn't able to use all 6 pans in here also shows that, you know, I've kind of lost interest in this or didn't really have as much interest in this as I thought I would have. If I have any looks that I had created, I will definitely insert it on the screen. I think I might have had the one look that I did create with this palette. As you can see, it was a really pretty look. I just struggled to reach for this. I think I will be actually decluttering this again when I go to do my palette declutter, which is coming very soon. I know I keep saying that, but it is coming, you guys. I promise, because we have a lot of palettes to get through. It might be a video broken down into 2 segments. And as far as would I recommend Pat McGrath to anyone, I mean, that for me is kind of go at your own risk, because Pat McGrath, as we all know, is a very expensive luxury brand, and I just don't think that for the price tag that the shadows are anything, you know, spectacular for how much it costs. Like, I know she has really pretty shades, don't get me wrong, but the fact that I struggle to even reach for this, you shouldn't have to struggle or to be challenged to reach for something that costs so much money. I would definitely say I would not recommend Pat McGrath, but I would say if you are interested to basically kind of go at your own risk. It really depends on what your budget is and how much you can afford on makeup, and if you are interested in luxury makeup. There are plenty of indie brands out there that make incredible shimmer formulas such as JD Glow, Give Me Glow, Cope Aesthetic, Luxie, Divina Cosmetics. There are a lot of more affordable brands that make incredible shimmers and creamy metallic formulas out there for a fraction of the cost. But nonetheless, I was glad to at least try to use this palette. Again, I only used 2 of the shades out of here, but that just really kind of helped me seal the deal on knowing that I just will not reach for this and use this, so I'm probably going to declutter it. And for For week 3, I ended up choosing my C Color Cosmetics Seaside palette, which is a dupe for the Urban Decay Beach palette. And I'm just gonna keep it real with you guys. I did not reach for this at all. I didn't use any of the pans in this for throwing shade or no pan left behind, just because it was chosen once prior to me restarting this project, throwing shade for no pan left behind. And I really struggled to reach for it then. I didn't get a chance to use it at all, and I knew I wasn't going to use it. So that to me is also saying that I'm definitely going to be also decluttering this as well. Not that it's a bad formula. C Color Cosmetics makes great affordable replica palettes for more higher end brands. It just doesn't inspire me. This is really the only matte shade in the palette, and it's more like a satin than a matte anyways. This is like a kind of a satin. It's just a kind of a weird formula. I know the original Beach palette formula is incredible, I've heard, but I just don't feel inspired when I look at this, or definitely don't have any motivation to reach for it or use it. So sadly, this one will also be getting decluttered from my collection. And of course, for week 4, you are then to create a look using all 3 palettes combined. And again, I am pre-recording this video right now, so I'm gonna really try my best to sit down and do a look using all 3 of these combined. And if I didn't create a look, I do apologize. Again, I just really struggled with inspiration to use these 2 palettes. Now it is my favorite part of the project, which is time to pick 3 new palettes for this month. I'm gonna go ahead and randomly select 3 numbers, and again, when I take you guys to the inventory, if it happens to pick a number that was already chosen for this project, I'm just gonna go down 1. So let's go ahead and pick our 3 new numbers, and then I will take you in the next slide to pick the palettes. Number 21, number 126, and number 44. Here we are at my eyeshadow palettes, and the first number that was randomly selected was number 21. If we go down here, number 21 is my ColourPop Through My Eyes palette. The next number was number 126, so let's go ahead and scroll down, and number 126 right here is my Violet Voss Sweet Violet palette. And the last number was number 44. So let's go ahead and scroll back up. Number 44 is my Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. We're back, and I went and grabbed those 3 palettes. So let's go ahead and quickly go over these 3 palettes, and we will wrap this video up. Starting with week number 1, it randomly chose, as you saw, my ColourPop Through My Eyes palette. As you can see, it is just a really gorgeous palette. I think this is my first ColourPop palette that was chosen since doing this with no pan left behind. And it has a total of 16 pans in here, so we'll see how I'm able to do as far as reaching for this and using every pan in here for no pan left behind. It is a really gorgeous color story. As you can see from some of those swatches, just how beautiful ColourPop's formula is. They are so addicting. I highly recommend that if you have not tried any ColourPop palettes, to be careful, because they're so addicting. Like, once you start buying ColourPop palettes, because they are not only affordable, but the quality is really, really good for being such an affordable brand. They are a fast beauty type of brand, so they are constantly coming out with new releases. How they do it, I don't know, but it is impossible to keep up with if you're like a palette collector and try to collect palettes that a favorite brand of yours releases. With ColourPop, you can't do it. It's virtually impossible. But I am really excited to reach for this palette and get some good use out of it for this project for sure. For week number 2, it randomly drew my Violet Voss Sweet Violet palette, which is such a beautiful little 10 pan palette. The pans in here are smaller, but it definitely packs a punch, and you can create some stunning purple looks with this. I really, really enjoy doing purple eye looks. And as you can see, some of those swatches of how creamy and beautiful Violet Voss's formula is. I absolutely love their formula. Their metallics are so creamy, so pigmented. good, and their mattes are very buttery smooth and easy to blend. I've never had any difficulties with blending or patchiness with any of Violet Voss's shadows, and I have a few palettes from them. I'm definitely excited to go ahead and use this, and again, there's 10 pans in here. We'll see how well I'm able to do as far as using every pan for No Pan Left Behind. And then last but certainly not least, for week 3, it chose my Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, and I just absolutely love Huda Beauty's formula. Those of you who have been here a while know that I want to say her brand and palettes is definitely my favorite by far. So here's what the palette looks like. There are 18 shades in here. It is just a beautiful color story. It's got some purples, and it's definitely more of a warm tone palette, which I definitely love warm tone looks. I also really enjoy cool tones and jewel tones and rosy tones and colorful looks. I love it all. I'm not particular to just one style of eyeshadow looks like warm tone or cool tone. I really enjoy them all. I'm just excited to go ahead and get some good use out of her. I'm super excited that it chose a Huda palette. I'm always excited when it chooses Huda palettes because I really love her formula. And with 18 pans in here, I'm going to try my best to make sure I'm able to reach for and use every pan in this for No Pan Left Behind, just because especially it's Huda Beauty. As you saw, or as you can see from some of those swatches, just how beautiful her textured shadows are. And that's the thing with Huda Beauty. Her formula is known for being textured shadows, so they're a little different than your typical creamy, smooth eyeshadows. Like if you go to touch these to the touch, some of the mattes feel very textured to the touch as well. So it's a different type of application and really just trial and error on experimenting to see what style and what method of application works best for you when trying different styles of matte formulas. So you have to really kind of go at it at a different approach. The looks that I create with this palette have been absolutely beautiful, and I am super excited to play with this for No Pan Left Behind and for this challenge. Those were the 3 palettes that were chosen, and that's basically everything for this update on Throwing Shade. I really do love this project, and I'm curious to see in my future declutter just how many palettes I'm going to be letting go of. The future is unknown. I can't predict a certain number because I really don't know until I sit down and go over each palette with you guys to see how many I'm actually going to declutter. So then when we continue moving forward with this project, how many more palettes will be left for me to go ahead and go through. It is such a fun project. Again, it's a great way to really cycle through your palettes and get some good use out of them and show some older palettes some love, and just show palettes that you wouldn't reach for maybe without the project some love. And it's just been a pleasure doing this project. I always have the creators of this project in the description for you guys, which is Jessica Lee and Amanda D. That's basically everything, you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by, and please, of course, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment down below. And until my next video, everybody enjoy the rest of their day. Bye!